Go.
Okay. Today I'm going to share with you some information about Dr. Art Lindsley, PhD, and his sermon entitled, "The Case for the Resurrection. Can You Prove that Christ was Raised from the Dead?" along with an excerpt from the sermon and my thoughts on it. Dr. Lindsley is a highly educated and experienced professor, author, and speaker. He has earned several degrees from schools and seminaries such as Seattle Pacific University, University of Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh Theological Seminary. Dr. Lindsley has served as the president and senior fellow at the C.S. Lewis Institute. He has written several articles and books, including True Truth, For the Least of These, and Love, the Ultimate Apologetic. Currently, the trusted speaker is Vice President of Theological Initiatives at the Institute for Faith, Work, and Economics, and lives with his wife and 2 sons. The sermon I will be presenting and discussing was given at the C.S. Lewis Institute as part of their Basic Apologetics course. As I stated earlier, the title of this sermon is "The Case for the Resurrection. Can You Prove that Christ was Raised from the Dead?" This is a segment from Dr. Lindsley's closing statements. Here are the resurrection's implications for our lives. 1 Corinthians 15:58. If Christ is raised, therefore, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your toil is not in vain in the Lord. If Christ is raised, we are to be steadfast, or to be like the rock of Gibraltar, immovable in the storms of life, in the winds that blow, and the waves that grow massive at times. We are to be energetic, always motivated to go out and serve, knowing that our toil is not in vain. One of the things that is a refrain all the way through 1 Corinthians 15 is if Christ is not raised, then our lives are in vain. Our belief is in vain. The Apostle Paul says if Christ is not raised, we of all people are to be pitied. To paraphrase Paul's words, if Christ is not raised, what am I doing getting whipped and enduring beatings? The resurrection is the very foundation of belief in Christ. Our toil is not in vain. Everything we do, the Lord remembers. This means that our life is not only meaningful in general, but the specific things you do are meaningful. There's a moral structure to the universe. Every negative thing you do is remembered by the Lord, and if you believe in Him, it's covered by His righteousness. Everything you do positively for the Lord will receive its reward. Everything, even a little cup of water that's given to someone in need, will be remembered. Finally, Christ shows us the way. We can know, because of who He is and because of the promises He gives us, that nothing we do in the Lord is in vain. So the resurrection has profound implications for the past and the way we view the past, the present and the way we actually live our lives, and in the future and how we view the future. As C.S. Lewis says, if the resurrection is true, which he believes it is of infinite importance. If it's not true, it's of no importance. But the thing it cannot be is of moderate importance. That concludes this excerpt from Dr. Lindsley's sermon. Now I'll share with you a few of my thoughts. I really enjoyed the content of this sermon. I've heard this topic discussed before with similar information, but I liked how he explained his ideas. He used sources that gave him credibility and seemed to be very knowledgeable. However, Dr. Lindsley wasn't very impressive as a public speaker. His voice was pretty monotone and didn't have much interest in it. He moved a few times, but mostly leaned on his podium. In the end, I would recommend listening to this sermon if you have questions about the validity of the resurrection or how we can know Jesus really did come back to life.